Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Designer's Craft. I'm very, very excited about this episode because you're number three, the big number three. So I'm your host, Kagonya Awori, Dr. Kagonya Awori, and I've been in user experience for over a decade now, both professionally and academically. To me, this field is much more than a job. It's actually a passion point for me because I believe that the best way to solve African problems is to design the solutions well. So sit back and relax. If you join us in the pre recorded session, please enjoy yourself. So, without further ado, I'm wearing my Ghana attire today, recognizing Ghana and the rest of West Africa for no apparent reason, just for fun. So we're going to have Ich today, Ich Gichuki, and he is an excellent service designer. Now, when I speak about service design, maybe most of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but relax. By the end of this hour, you'll not only have a chance to understand what it is, you'll even have a chance to ask questions. So at any time, please ask questions live. We'll attempt to answer all of them. And you'll even have some tips on how to practically apply service design to your business. Welcome, Ich. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Great to have you. Great to have you. So tell us about yourself and your cool name, Ich. Let's start from there.
So, H is actually short for a much longer name, Ishungwa. So Ichungwa. There's currently an MP with that name, so it's a bit more popular. And interesting fact, we're not related. So no one used to remember the name Ishungwa unless they played around with it and made it Ishungwa, like Machungwa. So I decided to shorten it because I had a friend, actually it's a guy you might know, I had a friend with a short name called Migs. So I thought, Migs, it's worked for him and his family. So let me just try H and in campus, and that caught on, anyone who knows me from then on. And actually people who know me from before changed to just calling me H, including family members. Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And how did you get into service design? Oh, yeah. How did you get into it? What's your background actually?
So my background is web design initially. So I think I've been interested in design. I was interested in design from an early age. I used to draw with my friends all the way into college. I was always interested in kind of robots and Legos to this day. And I got into, and I was also into development. So desktop application development. So when the internet kind of started just around end of 96, early 97, I saw a show on CNN. There was a show called like Science and Technology Week. And they were showing these kids building websites and making a lot of money. And I thought, I need to learn how to do that. So I bought a book from the US and had it shipped with one of my relatives. And then I just used it to learn HTML and started building websites, very basic websites for myself. And then I got a job in an ISP back in the day as a web designer. And then I went off again by myself in a company called Blue Eyes. We did the first couple of websites in this city. So for banks like KCB, CBA.
That's huge.
Yeah, in the early 2000s. And then went into a bit of consulting phase where I moved it to web development, and all sorts of organizations were building intranets. So internet development in UN Habitat, in a bit for USAID, then another consulting phase building trade systems for governments, for revenue authorities, for port authorities in East Africa, and the private sector. So, and that was through USAID and Trademark East Africa. And then kind of round back to design. And in the beginning of the digital transformation, where banks and fintech companies were building all these apps, or
True. Yeah.
correcting their first round of the first iteration of apps and kind of building the second ones. So I was helping companies do that, and found that we really had to understand users. Then we had to understand the company itself, its resources, and that kind of grew from UX design to UX strategy to looking inside the company. So it morphed into service design. So
Okay.
it's been a long journey.
It sounds like a good one. Like it's long but quite related. So it's like, from web design, then you move to UX, and then now you're specialized in service design. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, how was it? It sounds like it was a natural progression, or was it
Well,
like? Mhm,
the last part definitely has been natural, and I like to explain it as
mhm.
always looking to complete the picture. So you start off trying to help companies build websites and mobile apps, for example, and then you realize you have to build for the user. So UX became a thing. You have to really figure out what the user needs to do, how easily they can use these services. And then as you kind of work resources into that, you find some of these companies, even big banks, were not ready for this digital transformation. So there has to be a transformation internally into these organizations. So now you start looking into their processes, their people, their tools, to enable them push, kind of come out from traditional either banking or insurance into delivering that service through digital means. And that meant, now you're looking at the people, you're looking at the customer, and now you're looking at inside the company. So all of a sudden you have service design kind of
Mhm.
coming in, because you're always completing another picture. And it morphs on and on. You launch products, you're trying to grow them, so you get into growth. You launch products, they have to make business sense. You get into product management and business design. So there's always kind of closing the picture, closing the loop with another methodology.
And I really like what you said. You're completing the picture. I mean, I've never thought of it like that. So that's really, really cool. So the one
Yeah,
question that many people have is, so what is service design? Right? And
yeah.
audience, feel free to put your questions, drop your questions. As you go along, we are very happy to answer them. So what is service design?
That's a good question. Actually, I think our talk today is missed opportunities from not taking a service design approach. So
Mhm.
I think it's good that people understand what service design is before they understand
The missed
what the
opportunity.
opportunities are. So excellent. Service design has many kind of technical explanations, but I'll try and keep it. We've kind of ended up over the years with some simpler ones.
Mhm.
You say it's a process by which we understand and creatively improve service experiences. So
Mhm.
anytime you use a product or service, that company is using some form of service delivery to you and is hoping that you enjoy the customer experience. So there's a set of tools that can help them do this, however small, however large those companies are. And what it really is, service design is taking a holistic view of all related actors. So the customer, the shopkeeper, the transport guy, and then everyone kind of behind that. So all the way to the manufacturer, if it's a manufactured product,
Mhm.
and looking at all of them and their interactions and how and their supporting tools and resources and infrastructure, and making sure everything is efficient and everything works towards a delightful customer experience. So it's really just breaking down a service into components and working on it to be as excellent as possible.
And
Um, yeah,
And
no, go
how does
ahead.
it intersect with, so I was thinking service design, then there's interaction design or user interface design.
Yeah.
How do those two work together? Are they
So,
down? Mhm.
that's an excellent question. We look at service design as design of the entire service delivery model. So it includes everything in it. And that's not kind of to say service design is everything, but service design kind of covers all these areas. It covers softer areas like brand and identity. It covers usability, so UX. It covers delivery, so customer experience, and it goes behind the beyond the customer to behind the organization to look at again all the resourcing and the tools that they have. So when you look at something like specific like interaction design, then you're looking at a component. You can say it's a component of service design, but it's definitely a discipline that stands by its own. But within the context of service design, it's a part and parcel of the entire delivery. So you're either working on interaction to be as simple as possible for the user, so that it adds to the customer experience, to make the customer experience delightful.
And could you give us a practical example, like projects? I don't know which projects you can talk about, but you can project X, or you can talk about them.
Okay, so let me talk about, say, banking. It'll be quite kind of theoretical, but and banking is broad. It's extremely broad. You have your bank accounts, you have corporate, you have retail, you have personal, you have loans, etc. So let's talk about something simple like account opening, for example. So for personal bank account. So in most cases in Kenya, you'll walk to the bank. There's I think a few banks now getting you to do the process online, but in most cases you'll have to walk to the branch. You get in, and this is a physical space that the bank has provided, and there's definitely space design as an element of space design to help you get to the correct counter as soon as possible. The branch is usually, it's called a touch point, but it's a collection of touch points, because once you're in a bank, you go to a specific touch point, say a bank account opening desk, if there's something like that.
Yeah.
From there, the experience you have of opening that bank account is dependent on the service delivery model the bank has come up with. So they've kind of thought about how you'll go about opening that bank account, what forms you're going to use, what documents they need you to have, what pictures they need to take, and things like that. But you'll find a lot of the time the services, the delivery model has been really worked on to serve them internally. So you get this 8-page form with 1,200 form fields that you have to fill by pen. You get requests for ID copies and any other sort of document that you might not readily have. Yeah. So, and those start becoming what are called customer experience frictions, because you really want to open this account, but there's all these frictions. You might have to take the form home. You might have to go and come back again. And those journeys are ignored. Those little journeys for the customer, they're ignored. For me to come to your branch, maybe I'm driving, I'm getting off work, I have to find parking, I'm paying for parking, I have to walk into your branch and maybe get into and wait in line. I have to fill a form that's 8 pages long. I have to make copies of documents. That's a very horrible journey. But it's either largely ignored because it's probably serving the bank better in terms of their own bookkeeping and data entry. And those are the things service design starts to look at. Now, if you start looking at those things, you will look at them from the lens of the customer and making it as smooth and as easy as possible for the customer. But at the same time, the actions to be taken up by the company, by the bank. So they have to design a better form. They have to move services online. They have to resource, people to do those things, buy systems that allow them to do those things. So we look at both sides based on a good and better and frictionless customer experience for the customer. The bank, we're also looking at what we call actually talent experience or employee experience. inside the bank and the tools they need and the processes they will have. So we're looking at making those as efficient as possible, as modern as possible, sometimes as digital as possible, to make the experience much better for the customer.
And so you look at all the stakeholders involved, and
We
it's
look at
great that, about the
yeah,
staff, because I think sometimes we can design products and we forget about the staff who are going to support the customers. And
yeah,
so maybe it's a great UX for the customers, but the staff members don't even, the systems that they're using are, fudged up, pardon my
yeah,
friend. So
yeah,
it's like you have to think around all these stakeholders, and that's where you're really going to make a better service. I was even thinking,
yeah,
you remember when we were just chatting, so right before the show we're chatting, Ich and I are chatting about the experience of even joining this designer's craft. So I tried a new tool this time, and you have to sign up for you to register. Then now, even when you need the link, you have to again log in to get the link to watch this show. That is a terrible, terrible experience. Why you
yeah,
require people who've already registered to now log in again to get the link to watch the show. So I apologize, guys. I will not use that tool anymore. That is a
yeah.
terrible customer experience, terrible experience. So it's really
No,
around that.
yeah, no. And I really love that. It's such a small component of your service delivery for this show,
Yeah,
and the intentions are very good. It's what tool can I use to advertise this show, and then to remind users just in
yeah,
time that the show is coming on. And you find this tool and you use it, and it works great. And then you just find one little thing that,
that
as it
is,
reminds people, it doesn't give them the link. They have to log in
yeah,
again to find the link. And
yeah,
what I like about that is you then seek to, you once you understand that, you seek ways to improve on that, just to correct that little piece. And that really is kind of the whole philosophy of design in building products and services is research and implementation and iteration. So you iterate, you test another product, and you improve the service. And slowly by slowly, it'll be quite seamless with the right tools. So
so design
congratulations.
never stops. Yeah, exactly. It's like design never stops. You have to
Yeah,
continue, as you said, the iterations and improve it. Guys, if any
yeah,
of you joined by Eventbrite, just tell us your horror stories. We'll be sure to send them the feedback.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really good. So I think, yeah, it's beginning to become clearer, I hope, to the audience.
yeah,
What service design is. And then I realized that right now, many more people are going online. I mean,
yeah,
thanks to COVID,
yeah,
we are users, business owners, students, companies. We've moved online. We're not even
yeah,
moving, we've moved online. So
yeah,
then, how then can, say me, if I want to improve my business, how then can I then use this approach to maybe better engage with my customers, or
yeah.
understand the problems, or even just continue to improve? Is there a practical way of using service design to do this?
There definitely is, and yeah, and I like that question, because service design, we might think it's limited to the banks and fintech companies, insurance companies, large telcos, and people who can kind of afford big consulting and workshops and all these things. But
Mhm.
it's not. It's methodologies that can be used by a single person selling their items on Instagram, to a medium-sized company, to SMEs, and all the way to the large companies we're saying. For service design, in summary, one of the things to take is kind of the way we look at it is service design is end to end. So the entire journey of your customer and your employees. So, and the entire journey means it's not really from when they log in to buy your item. It's from the moment they find that when there's a need for that item. And you have to understand what they go through. So I want to buy sneakers, say, from Instagram. You have to understand where the need comes from, not just me accidentally finding your sneakers on Instagram if you have a Instagram shop. So
Mhm.
there's a reason, there's a need, there's something I'm trying to solve for myself, and then I'm going to go through various journeys, look for people who know about shops, go to Facebook, go to Instagram, and I'll use certain steps and hopefully stumble onto your shop. So you have to understand your user's entire journey, beginning to end. If you get me, then there's ways you're going to make me buy through using pictures, giving me the price, telling me
Yeah.
how I can pay, and how they get delivered. So those are aspects of the journey all the way to the end. And once I finish and they're delivered to me on time, probably got a discount. I probably even got a future discount if I shop again. So you're making it delightful for me as I finish the journey, and maybe later you send me reminders when you have new stock, because you now know what kind of shoes I like. So the next time you have similar shoes, you're reminding me, and that is still part of the journey where you're engaging me in some way. So we have to think about those journeys no matter what we sell, end to end. We also talk about service designers as front to back. So, and front to back means from the customer to the touch point to the people behind the touch point. So I'll just clarify. So my first point was end to end, my entire journey, from when I need the shoe to how I get to know about you, to how I buy it, to how it gets to me. That's my journey. Front to back is from me, I deal with you, what touch point, how I pay, and things like that. And you, as a large or small company, how you sell to me, what resources you use, what your people use, how they are trained, what processes they have in place to get that product to be, either using technology or physical. It's a physical means, whatever you have. So front to back, from me to the company. And lastly, we look at all touch points, what we call all touch points. So for larger services like banking, you can get multiple touch points. Banks allow you to push the service delivery through phone, mobile app, physical branch, internet. So those are different touch points for the same service. So they have to really match their touch points level of customer experience, so that I don't have a good experience. I might have a very good experience on an app, and then I come to your branch and it's really bad. So you have to work to make the experience delightful across all your touch points. So that's one way of looking at it. For large or small companies, there's a number of
when you mentioned
I was going to say for large.
Oh, sorry.
Small,
I think there was a bit of a hitch, but
okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying for large or small companies, there's a number of steps you'll take in your service design methodology, and this is the biggest step you'll have is what we call design research, and this will be your way of finding out, collecting information about your customer. And there are various methods, from just observation to in-depth interviews to collecting data to desk research. There's a whole there are a lot of ways you can collect information on your user. But the thing is to collect as much data as you can, as much information as you can, so that you can understand them deeply and understand things that influence them. And I'll go into a bit later on what really influences customers. The next thing you do is kind of synthesize this data and come up with solutions through co-creative sessions. So if you have more than one person in your organization, this is the time to form an inclusive, collaborative workshop or meeting or environment that fosters trust, unity, and maximizes problem solving, critical thinking, creative potential, bringing everybody together to talk about the problem, what you understand about your customer, and potential solutions. And if you get everyone involved, you kind of you benefit from the intellectual capital of everybody, as opposed to people who design products in what we call silos, or kind
Yeah.
of top bottom approach. The boss says the product is like this and it just ends up
And then
like that. We usually say bring all the stakeholders. If you're a small trader, bring your boda guy, and
true.
because he's the one who takes the products to the end customer. So see what you can train him in, because he's probably handing over the product and some receipt. He probably dresses in a certain way or addresses the customer in a certain way, and that can be a really friction, can be a smooth part, or it can really cause friction even if your product is good. And that has happened to me while shopping online. The experience is botched by the delivery guy. And
Interesting.
then the third stage is mapping. So in service design, and nowadays with a lot of design kind of design people, we're using a lot of maps, and we're using these maps the same way you use the traditional maps to find direction or to show you where you're going. So we have a whole host of maps. We have experience maps, we have journey maps, we have service blueprints, we have mind maps, stakeholder maps, all sorts of
Stakeholder.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the use of these maps is usually to understand processes, to shape various states of the service environment, to just see the path your service delivery takes. And sometimes it takes multiple paths. So it's just good to see them kind of in a tangible way. Actually, that's what we say. Maps make your service processes tangible. You can see them. So, and the thing, a good example I like to give here is, if you ask any banker, just going back to banks, what the process of opening an account is, they know it, and they know it offhand. And they tell you, you fill these forms, submit them, they go to this department and this department, and these guys print, your debit card, and these guys print
Yeah.
your checkbook, and then in 2 weeks you have everything and the account is open. But they've never really looked at it in a map to then start seeing where the gaps are to fix. What part takes too long, what part is working okay, where can we add resources, what do we need to remove in terms of paper and make it digital, and things like that. So we use maps to help us with this. And the main maps we use are customer journey maps. So maps that help you understand the journey your customer takes from how they get to know about you, how they engage, how they buy, how they receive, and how they exit. And we also use what we call service blueprints. So operational maps to visualize components of a service internally in your organization to show what processes you're going through. And actually, Kagonya, I have a few images here. I could show a sample journey map and also a sample blueprint. And
Excellent.
yeah, so I'll just zoom out. We might not really understand it, but I just want guys to get an idea of what they look like. And you can see it's a map with a lot of detail, and I'll just go into it a bit and show you what it has. And basically, within these maps, we're trying to map the journey for your customer. This is a customer journey map. What I was going to say is we print this in like large format, like size A0, and we hang it on your walls, and we use
Awesome.
we use that to study and kind of map out your service delivery. So you can see up here we have stages, and we have the awareness stage, and this is kind of trying to list the ways people will get to know about this product. So you can see word of mouth, You can see sales calls, social media posts. And once people get to know you, they onboard. And by onboard, we mean either they're coming in to buy something. If it's a digital app, they're downloading an app to start installing and registering. And usually they have questions they're asking themselves, like, I want to know what this product offers, what are the costs, and things like that. And with these questions in their journey, they have related emotions. So this example kind of shows mostly smiley faces, but you'll find that we also include like sad faces when there's a thing like this option is currently not available.
Oh,
Uh,
true.
and these emotions follow the whole journey. So we get into engagement, we get into conclusion, and we get into retention. But we follow that with what we call, as you can see down here, we call it the emotional journey. And the
Yeah.
emotional journey is very important because it lets you know how your customers are feeling. And we find this out through research. We don't guess. We don't guess the emotions that people feel. So the customers tell us. You can also include the journey tools they'll use. This was a website, so you can see they'll use subscription, they'll see a product details, they'll go to a homepage, they'll subscribe online, etc., etc. They'll use surveys for experience management, they'll see thought leadership articles, and so on and so forth. And we can include anything else we need in this journey, and the journey basically just moves from left to right. We also include duration they take in various stages of the journey. So here they take 5 to 20 minutes. Here they take 1 year because it's a subscription. But we're showing how they get engaged in that year. And then we have little other things like the channels they use. So this is a fully digital tool, the stakeholders involved, and the backstage processes, who's involved. But we'll use the service blueprint to show more of that. We have this thing we call the dramatic arc that we like adding to our journey maps and in service design. And this it's basically this little line graph that goes here. This one is very straight, and it follows the emotions of the customer. So we try and get it in the beginning when the service is bad. The graph is all over the place. It's up and down, showing low moments and a few high moments. And once we redesign the service, it looks kind of like this one where everything is kind of high. The experience is all positive, and it's kind of even almost boring. Like it just looks, everything is okay, which is never really the case. Yeah.
Yes.
But the dramatic arc is an interesting visualization piece because you really look at the low moments and you're trying to fix those to bring them back to higher moments.
Back high. And this is a tool that anyone can use, right? In terms of the business. Yeah.
This is exactly. And this is a tool that can be as simple and as complex as one wishes. I'd say for kind of the smaller traders, Instagram traders, just use it. Start with the main areas, your main stages: awareness, onboarding, engagement, conclusion. So conclusion could be delivering the item, and then just try and understand the steps you have come up with for your service delivery, and whether they're working or not. And finding out whether they're working or not is really just talking to your customers. And from there, you'll just find that you have a map that you can start correcting. You can start fixing small things, but they all add to the overall experience.
And another step I like to add here, is the last step is always referral. So you need to be concerned about how will your customers tell other customers about your service. You need to think about that. Don't do it automatically. How are you going to help do that? So that the last step always says always have referral in there, and it will really again force you to think around how you promoting word of mouth. Like today, I can't write anymore because it's difficult to use. So how I need to think around how people share this. Will they use WhatsApp? Will they use this? So really, this is I really like that the customer journey mapping exercise because it
Yeah.
forces you to. Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll just jump to another tool we use in service design. This customer journey map is very focused on the journey of the customer and the emotions and the tools and the touch points they're using. And we have what we call service blueprints, and these help visualize internal service processes within your organization that respond to what the customer is doing. And just very quickly, I'll zoom in on this. We have the experience stages up here. And for example, this is a customer loan application in a bank, for example. And we're showing the customer actions here. So all in blue will be sample customer actions. So applying for the loan through various touch points, either coming to the branch or electronically. And this will be the touch points. So this could be online banking, this could be the branch. And then what happens for the customer, it ends there. That's what they can see in your organization. All I can see is your website or app or bank app. Even if I come to a branch, all I can see are people behind desks. I don't know what happens beyond those people or beyond those digital tools. So we call this the line of interaction. And this is the line between what customers can and cannot directly interact with. So each of the touch points here in yellow is supported by what we call front stage staff. And this is the kind of the orange level here. And beyond that, really, for a customer, they don't see what's happening. And now we're inside the organization. And we call that the line of visibility. And this is, yeah, so we don't know. It's that gray or black hole for customers where we don't know what happens. I apply for a bank account, it goes silent. I don't know what happens until one day they call me for my checkbook and debit card 2 weeks later. So backstage, we now start looking at all your people, processes, tools, and things like that. So everything here in the gray box is your backstage staff and your support processes. Now, this has been simplified, of course. There's usually way more people, way more tools, way more processes. But we look at actions they take, different people and the actions they take, and different tools and different the different roles. So for a bank, it'll have kind of ERP, core banking system, things like that, and different kind of people who approve these loans, legal, finance people, etc. But finally, there's something we look at, and I just want viewers to pay attention to kind of this blue line, this kind of weird long rectangle.
Yep. What is
the blue line that covers everything from the customer down to your backstage staff and your support processes. This is a line we draw that follows a service to the end. So again, I keep using this example, opening a bank account. There's actions I take as a customer. I take those actions onto a touch point. Either I'm at a branch or I'm doing it online, and then things happen in the background that I don't know because they fall under outside my line of visibility and inside your organization. So if we follow that action, it's never this straightforward. It's usually a kind of a line that's all over the place, and put all those actions from my application down to when my account gets ready. We call that a service moment, and this is what we've described here. So it's a column that encapsulates all service activities happening at a given moment in the service experience, from front stage to backstage. If you're a small trader on Instagram, this is really, we're looking at from the moment I order that pair of shoes.
Yeah.
What happens? Because for me, I just place an order. What happens for you in the background? Where do you go get those shoes? Where you've put them? How do you call the boda guy? how do you get my address? How do you get my payment? How do you communicate to me until I receive those shoes? That would be your service moment as a much smaller trader. And this service moment counts because that's really where customer experience comes in, your service delivery model comes in, and it's the differentiator. And back to my example of banks, which I just keep using a lot, bank account opening.
Yeah.
You can have two banks, one that opens an account in 24 hours and one that takes 2 weeks. At the end of the day, their service moments are the same. It's just that bank one has figured their service moment to take 24 hours, while bank two, this takes 2 weeks. And they can go into this service moment and start looking at what's inefficient, what can we make faster, where can we add resources, and things like that to work towards 24 hours. So you can use these tools to improve services, set goals, and just slowly improve your customer experience.
I mean, that's excellent. This is like service design 101. Guys, you have no excuses. It's very, very tangible, practical. And so for those who just joined, we've looked at what service design is. We've looked at, how can we apply it practically? How does it mean in the practical world? And now, like, what are these missed opportunities then? Yeah. So what I've had too much, I don't want to use it. What are these missed opportunities?
No, I know. I also felt we need to get to them. I think we described service design too much, and but I think it was important that people get it and then start seeing what really they might miss. And I'll just go into three, I think, because of the time, and I'll take any questions. I think one of the missed opportunities is deeply understanding your customer. And I think it's the most important to us because, and luckily, it's usually the first step that we take is help in service design is, as a consultancy, is helping you deeply understand your customer. But if you're doing it for yourself, it's the same thing. We want you to deeply understand your customer, large or small business. Understand what their behaviors are in relation to your product and service. So not necessarily all their behaviors, everything they do, just it can be focused to your product or service. If I'm buying shoes on Instagram, think about my behaviors in relation to shoes and fashion. You don't have to know anything else much about me, but at least try and understand what I think about shoes and fashion and things like that, because that's what you're pushing to me. And here's what we're saying. To understand your customers deeply, you want to kind of understand what they want to achieve in their life when using your product or service. And we call this customer jobs to be done, or just customer jobs. So, and these customer jobs to be done are really describe what a customer is trying to achieve. And once you understand that, you'll be able to serve them better. And the different things customers are trying to achieve. They have functional jobs to be done. So very specific jobs. So back to the shoe example. I want the latest sneakers. I want to be stylish. I want the latest sneakers. That's as simple as it is. That statement as it is. Understand that that's what your customer wants. Then there's what we call social jobs. So related to that product. And this is where I want to look good. I want to gain status.
Cool.
So related to your sneakers, I want to be perceived as trendy, or having the latest fashion. Or it could even be vain. I want to look rich, whatever it is, but it's social. And then we have emotional jobs to be done. So I'm seeking a certain emotional state. So when I'm buying those cool sneakers, I want to feel, that I have quality, that, my shoe is a quality shoe. Not necessarily a social job that I want other people to see that it's quality, even just for myself. For myself, I want to know this is quality. whether anyone sees me or not, I wear quality shoes, quality clothes. It can be anything else if the product is different. It could be, I want peace of mind, I want to feel safe. Someone will buy a different type of car just because, it feels safer than the other type of car.
And the other
So
type of
yeah,
interesting
it's an
therapy,
emotion.
shopping
Yeah,
therapy, people say.
exactly. So it's an emotional job to be done. And then finally, there's little other jobs to be done that support all those three jobs I've just mentioned. So we
Wow.
call them supporting jobs to be done. They support functional, social, and emotional jobs. And this is things you do, like comparing prices, um, just I'm comparing prices when I'm buying shoes, comparing trends as I choose to be trendy. So
You're even
there's
celebrities who are wearing them, the socialites wearing them. Ah,
exactly.
mm-hmm.
And that's just, that's one aspect, understanding what your customer wants to achieve. The other aspect is understanding their pain points. And and a lot of people have heard, and people kind of focus on pain points only and don't look at customer jobs. So, but pain points are just as important. So, how do your customers feel? What works well for them? What doesn't? And also with pain points, there's a number of them. So there's what we call undesirable outcomes, and these are problems. Something that just doesn't work or doesn't work well or has negative side effects. So it's something I'm trying to solve. So maybe back to the shoe example, my current shoes have a problem, so I'm trying to fix that.
Yes.
But they're not, they're not working. So it's an undesired outcome. So, and then there's obstacles, what we call obstacles as pain points. And these are things that prevent customers from getting started with a job or that slow them down. So an obstacle example in the shoe example is kind of difficult, but it would be, my shoe is busted now. It's actually torn,
Yeah.
and it prevents me from even getting started wearing it. So, and finally, there's what we call risks as pain points. So risks are undesirable outcomes, something that will have negative consequences. In the shoe example, it would be maybe wearing fake shoes, maybe wearing poor shoes that will tear or won't support me. But in other examples, let's say a financial app, a risk or an undesirable outcome could be hacking, breach of
Yeah.
security in a banking app, loss of money, things like that. So you have to understand what pain points customers have gone through so that you
Mm-hmm.
can serve them by avoiding or creating solutions that solve those solve for the jobs to be done and solve for the for the pain points.
The pain points. Wow, that's
Yeah,
really, yeah, I love the jobs to be done part because you're right. Sometimes we
yeah,
focus a lot on the pain points, but we forget the jobs to be done and like this, emotional jobs to be done.
yeah,
It's very, when you say it, it's just like, I mean, clearly we should be doing this. But
yeah,
that's really great. That's really great.
yeah. So I think if we kind of go back to the title, it's exactly that. Those are
Mhm.
the missed opportunities. That these are the things you will miss if you don't take a service design approach. That you're likely to miss. And again, just within I guess within not understanding your customer, there's not being able to understand behavioral segments or what we call personas, or grouping your customers into in relation to how they use your service so that you
Okay.
can best give them value. And these are small behavioral aspects, like there's a customer who doesn't mind waiting for the shoes for a bit. So you can just tell them, shoe size 8 is shipping next week, and they'll be okay. And there's a customer who wants them today. I
That's
see them and I have to wear them tonight. So
there.
that will change your whole service delivery model. You know how to serve the guy who can wait, and you know how to serve the guy who needs to go today. and you might have like two Boda guys, one who is very reliable and one who can serve them at, later. And there's also, like you saw in the customer journey map, understanding emotional journeys across the customer life cycle. So whether it's awareness, onboarding, engagement, just how we're feeling. So even when the service is good, the emotions are still there. I buy your item. I'm anxious. I don't know if I send my money, you'll disappear. So what do you do to keep me calm and keep my customer experience delightful? Once I pay, I'm waiting. I really want to see these shoes. I'm anxious whether they fit, whether they look good, how I look with them, how they go with my other clothes. So all these are emotions that if you collect from your customers, you'll be able to understand how best to serve them. You'll kind of have solutions. You'll have information you can send to them just to ease their mind. That solve for this type of customer understanding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah, no. So I have two more. So I just wanted to kind of stop and see whether we should keep going or should answer a few questions.
Yeah. Guys, through your questions. I mean, it's. I think it's very, very clear. I think everyone's just
Yeah,
absorbing and realizing, that's where I could have messed up, or that's where I can improve. I like, saying that we can improve. So I think
yeah.
let's listen to what's the missed opportunity number 2 for not
Okay,
you're not using a service design approach.
okay, fantastic. Okay, so number 2, the missed opportunity I think is creating environment that maximize on collective problem understanding and solving, critical thinking, and potential solutions. So creating potential solutions. And what we mean by this is really co-creation. So co-creation is bringing people together, people in your entire value chain together, um, and helping them understand the customer, then understand solutions, or come up with solutions that will solve for the customer. And this is where I was saying, even if you're a small trader, that Instagram trader, hold a meeting with your delivery guy, your Boda guy, and understand what he goes through so that you can solve for him. Then understand how he talks to clients, maybe even script what he has to say, how he delivers the package, what he gives out, anything he collects, if he collects money from you for you, and things like that, because they can be they can be the greatest customer experience friction. And like I was saying, I've bought items online from someone and the
Yeah.
items were great, but the delivery was horrible. So and customer experience is kind of just viewed that way. It's holistic. I don't choose to say which part was good, which one was bad. I look at
Yeah.
it wholesomely and I just say it's bad.
Imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so with co-creation and encouraging co-creation with your entire value chain, I think it's kind of easier for larger companies, but even they don't kind of put the space and time to do it. But even for smaller companies, these are things you can do, and what you'll end up with is improved customer insights across your different teams or different people. We encourage people to co-create with diverse teams, not just in organizations, not just customer service teams, work with everyone, sales, support, engineering, developers. This leads to improved customer insight across the teams, and they know what they're really solving for in a united way.
And I like that point about diversity. So even
Yeah,
your customers, don't choose the customers who are similar to you. Choose
yeah,
the customers who are even different. First of all, different from you and different from each other. Because diversity is so key in
yeah,
creating new thoughts or innovating or having you think differently about your solution. So indeed, I like that point about diversity. Whether you're a small business or a large organization,
yeah,
diversity is.
yeah, definitely. And uh, again, co-creation, bringing everybody together, creates opportunity for alignment to your mission statement. This is if you're an organization or a brand that has a mission statement. You've set out some values and a certain vision and a mission that you're going to deliver something in a certain type of way. And you need to bring in different people. And here we're talking senior management and junior and your juniors to keep each other focused on the mission, which will result in the whole organization kind of going in the same direction. It's always good for large organizations also to get that sponsorship from senior management. It really encourages the juniors to see that their bosses are they're involved in this. So it also keeps them involved. In the end, sorry, just one other thing, you get a better quality of service if you co-create, because you're united, but you also have the voice of the customer, and you're able to give better quality products and services. And I've seen in some sessions where you can include the customer, like I think Kagonya just mentioned, include the customer in sessions to to see what you found out, whether what you found out in research was real. So get your evidence, get your pleased customer, but also get your most annoyed customer, because that's where you need to fix, and you have to be brave to do it.
That's true. In fact, we have a question here from Lewis. Thank you, Lewis. So does diversity in this sense mean the extremes as per human-centered design? So those extremes, those ones, we usually talk about this bell curve. So do you look for guys at the end of it?
It would be nice to get guys at the end of it, but like you're saying, if you're working with a bell curve, then majority of where your majority of your customers lie, and it might be better to design for those ones first. And we've seen a number of different strategies adopted by different companies. For example, Apple, which is a very innovative IT company, says they design for the early adopters. I think Google as well. So they just design for that techie who will take the product and know how to use it, but really enjoy using it. And the rest of us, who might be called laggards, will figure it out eventually, or you'll be the extreme guy with the older iPhone or with the older, iMac or MacBook, and that's really what happens. So the extremes are not necessarily what to take. Go with the majority of your users. I think it's good though to understand the extremes. You may not immediately design for them, but it would be nice to understand them, because
And so before your third point, we'll just take this question because we're almost out of time. But so how do you get buy-in with senior management? And then also a very key question: how do you prove ROI for service design?
Okay, those are excellent questions. I like the second one. So I guess for the second one, allow me to just answer it just at the end. But for the first one, how we get buy-in with senior management, one way to get buy-in with senior management is to outline this process and let them know what the goals are. Service design methodology has a goal, and the goal will mostly be aligned to existing goals in an organization, which is either to create quality products, to improve their ROI, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. Whatever the company is founded upon, the service design approach is really just helping to get you there, but in a structured way where you ensure or kind of make your success as high as possible. So this is what they really need to understand. In some cases, you have naysayers that may not even necessarily be senior management. And what you're advised to do is to just keep them in the loop as you use this methodology, because there's some people who have to see something have
Yeah.
to see evidence of something working, and then they're sold. So keep them in the loop, however skeptical they are. Just show them where you are. You've understood the customer, you have these insights, you're now co-creating, you're now fixing this frictions in the journey, and they'll just get to see its benefits. And finally, for senior leaders who are just driven by money, some people will just say, okay, you'll use that process. So how will it improve?
Yeah.
What's the ROI? There's still a way. There's using research and service design. You use service design to map customer experience at every stage in the customer life cycle. That means you can quickly identify customer experience frictions and correct them, leading to better customer experience, better usage of your service or product. You use service design methodologies to understand size and segment of your customers by, say, spending behavior. That way, if you can target them, once you understand them, you know how many people will buy or use your service. You know what they're likely to pay, down to exact prices. You know how frequently they'll pay or how frequently they'll buy, and you can predict revenues very accurately. You can use it to understand and design the best value propositions to customers through value proposition design, which means you can get confident that customer experience will be delightful, and you know how many people will buy your service, and again, you can predict revenues. So it's actually an approach you can use to show ROI.
Okay.
Very well.
So what's the third missed opportunity? Because I have one more question from Mercy, but I'd like to do the third one because we're now on the dot.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, very quickly, I think the third missed opportunity is the tangibility of service delivery through mapping. Like I said earlier, we use a lot of maps, and these maps help you make processes tangible. So just seeing a process instead of knowing it by heart, instead of me asking you, how does that bank account opening process happen? And then you have to tell me, oh, it goes to Kamau, then Fiambo, then the manager who approves, then this and that. Just look at it on a map, showing all those people, all those processes, the time it takes, the emotions, the tools used, and then you'll be able to see where the frictions are, where you need resourcing, which part takes longer. Here we need more people, here we need less people, here we need a digital process, not a manual process. And that will help you improve and really using that map as your tool to change, not just something to look at, something you go and change by hand and just look at processes you can change, and a methodology of implementing that change in real life in the organization. So, and then testing whether it's improved the overall service delivery. So mapping, just map your processes as simple or as complex as they are.
And to the mapping part, so then the question was then, what's the difference between an experience map and a customer journey map? And where do you use them? Just quickly, what's the difference between the two of them?
I find them used interchangeably, but really, just as the name suggests, experience map, you're looking at experience in a journey or part of a journey. And one of the things an experience map is able to show is the emotional journey much better, much deeper. You can go into what we call micro journeys. So instead of really looking at the entire journey, you can focus on just onboarding, for example. If your solution is an app, for example, that I have to download, onboard, and install, onboard, register, etc., you can just look at, say, registration alone and dive deep with an experience map that shows my emotions, my actions, any sort of frictions, etc. Customer journey map usually mostly refers to the larger entire journey of your customer, and that's awareness, onboarding, engagement, retention, and referral. So we try and look at your customer holistically, end to end, from when they know about you to when they engage you, to when they buy something, exit, and hopefully refer. So that's really the main difference.
Great. This is good. I'll take
Yeah.
two last questions. Dear live audience, just give us 5 minutes because I think these questions are really, really great. I know we're a bit over time, but just 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. So then Caroline asks, then what sort of support would the service design department need from the product marketing department? So keep that in mind. Then Kevin's question is, do you see instances where there are more advantages to build for the laggards as opposed to the early adopters in building a brand in the 21st century? And then the final one, what do you do when you need to make compromises because of factors like tech debt? That's from Kelvin. That's a tough one. So I think we'll take Caroline's first, which is around how does now then the service design department work with the product marketing department? You know, what support does the service design team or person need from the marketing team?
That's a good question, and I think just going back to what we were saying before, that service design really looks at the entire service delivery model, and your marketing kind of fall as part of that delivery model. So your marketing, the product is ready to go. They're putting out ads. They're using various media channels, from face to face to broadcast, print, or digital, to advertise and to market the product and its features. And this is one of the ways they can work together. So during research, you talk to a whole bunch of customers and you start seeing behavioral patterns forming, and this you move these behavioral patterns into groups, into segments or personas. And these segments, you find that once you understand what we talked about, their jobs, their pains, their gains, you can match certain value to them differently. And in the same way, marketing messages hit home with them differently. So, for example, back to my simple Instagram story, if I'm the customer who wants shoes immediately, and there's another customer who can wait 2 weeks, marketing messages to us should really be different. If you once you understand us, to me, you'll market get your shoe today, and to the other person, you might not say today. You may say we have this shoe, but it's going to take some time. So so marketing come in with targeted messages to customer segments that you've already understood, and crafting messages to hit home with different types of segments. Wow. And what happens is, if you don't do that, then you're broadcasting all these marketing messages, just hoping, praying they'll hit home with different users.
Interesting.
So, yeah, they can have a more precise way.
Work like this. I really like that. And now for the laggards question. So is there an advantage? You design for the laggards, it's 21st century. I know we went to the early adopters. Can we see around its head?
No, I mean, I know that sounds more like a techie solution, tech solution tech-based solution, sorry. And people wondering whether they should push the tech and the experience and the UX, and what will happen to all these people who are a bit slower in using them. And what I'd say is, I kind of support the designing for your best user, kind of Google and Apple's methodology. And that's really pushing UX, but not pushing it to make it unavailable, but kind of pushing it to make it intuitive, easy to use, as much, as natural as possible to use and as easy to use as possible. So once you do that, you give your early adopters quick use, then they jump on it, but you then give your laggards an opportunity to onboard and to adopt. You've not really shut them off with crazy tech, but they still can come and be able to navigate, maybe slowly at the beginning, and then kind of work towards using a bit more. and then it's not an extreme case of laggards are behind and early adopters are the ones who are always taking up the solution. There's also within a product, within its use, within there's engagement. And it could be a case where you have an app where early adopters don't need to be engaged a lot because maybe they're techies and they're just using the app easily. And you might have what we call nurture programs, behavioral design, nudges, looking at moments that matter and sending key messages to, and this might work for laggards who need to be kind of nudged and coaxed to use the next feature and things like that. So this internal messaging in your service delivery, what the messages you push can be used to cater for laggards while early adopters just run with the
newest thing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. So Godfrey, Emma, and Kelvin, thank you very much for your questions and comments. Also, Louis, again, thank you. We will answer these questions on the YouTube channel because we're now out of time, but we really, really thank you for the questions and comments. So it will be sure to respond to them and you'll have your answers there, but they're lovely questions. But again, thank you very much, live audience. Thank you for joining us. It's been a very good session. This has literally been a move from understanding what service design is to a practical approach to some very key lessons. And I think these are the ones that really engage the audience the most. Like people love these key tips and lessons. And whether you're working in a company or an organization, you're an entrepreneur thinking of how do you make that business work? Or you've started your company and you want to increase the growth. Honestly, what you've learned today is fantastic. For those watching later, enjoy. It's lots of gems, lots of good lessons here. You can still put your sessions and definitely your questions, sorry, and you can definitely respond to them later. Ich, asante sana. This has been fun. As I said, it's great to see you. You know, now we don't see people face to face. It's just good. It's really good to see you and engage and have a great time.
No, I had a great time. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very, very much. So guys, see you again for next month for episode 4. Thank you for staying tuned and staying in touch. Ciao. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.